May Govanen, everybody, and welcome back to another stream. It's been a minute, mostly because IRL situation has kind of reduced the time I can stream. But yeah, we're at least back for another Ranger reading episode, and it's going to be real nice to get back into the reading. We're going to be doing, like I have been doing through all these episodes, reading more of the Bible, followed by Encyclopedia Eorzea, and you guys can watch me butcher names yet again for stream content. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, so quick recap on why I have been around less. Pretty much due to the car accident situation I went through recently. I've been stranded at work every day, so I haven't been able to come home and do stuff in the afternoons in between my two shifts like I usually could. And then I've been having to get rides, and then I've been also trying to get more sleep because that whole car situation scared me. So I've been trying to manage my sleep schedule a little better, and yeah, all of that combined has just made it so it's almost impossible for me to stream right now. But hopefully we'll be back to a sort of normal schedule soon. I'm hoping. But yeah, for now, we will be kind of temporarily taking a backseat from streaming. But on the flip side of that, I am looking at getting some more YouTube stuff going. So you guys have some content from me in my sort of drought from streaming over the next few weeks. But yeah, so that will be happening. I may try to stream a little bit this Saturday ahead of time, and I'll mention this again at the end of my stream, but that will be very dependent on how another situation goes IRL, and then we'll see what we have time for on Saturday. But yeah, for now, though, we're going to be jumping into the Ranger reading episode as usual, and yeah, going from there. So without further ado, we're going to get this all set up and going. So stand by as we get to just that. If I could find the right buttons, which is the question. Okay, everybody, stand by. We shall have this up and working momentarily. And that should work, yes! Oh, the desk and the Sarasvana mat that I still have. Alright, without further ado, like I said, as we usually do, we will be jumping back into these two books yet again. The first, Encyclopedia Eorzea on Final Fantasy XIV lore, and the 1599 Geneva Bible, because history and also more chances for me to butcher reading. Yay. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. Also, I forgot to say welcome subject shout out to the chat if you're still here. Good to have you. But yeah, we're going to be jumping in without further ado and getting started. And this one for the book of Genesis is going to suck for me because this whole chapter is a genealogy reading, which means I am going to be reading big, hard to say names non-stop. Oh, I got to turn off that because we're not doing a Shabbathon anymore. There we go. Okay, without further ado, oh boy, this is going to be painful for me, man. Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I have big names in both the books I'm reading today. Because I think, if I remember correctly, for Encyclopedia Eorzea, yep, we're doing Lenoske. Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm going to butcher so much on the reading today. Good gravy. Okay. What's this? This is a recent series I started with the new year on my channel, which is where I read books on stream. And you guys can watch my totally great reading skills in action. So we are starting this series with two books. We are reading the 1599 Geneva Bible, because history for the win. And Encyclopedia Eorzea, which is the first, Volume 1, which is the first of the real-life lore books on Final Fantasy XIV lore. So we are doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. And surprisingly, a lot of people have tuned in and enjoyed this too, so it's been fun. But yeah, we started around Christmas time, and we're still going. Also, thank you for the canteen refreshment. Good chance for me to drink my tea that's next to me. Gotta hydrate the throat before I say all these big names. But yeah. Anyway, without further ado, we shall begin. Alright. Oh, I almost forgot. We have to turn something on, chat. Which I don't know why it's not showing. Oh, I know exactly why it's not showing. Because I am a professional goofball. There we go. Hello, everybody. Gremlin Alurin is back to read you some Bible. Yes. Oh, I'm gonna butcher these names so bad. Alright, Genesis chapter 5. Oh, boy. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created Adam, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day that they were created. Now Adam lived 130 years, and begat a child in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth. And in the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years, and begot Enosh. And Seth lived after he begot Enosh 807 years, and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Also Enosh lived 90 years, and begot Canaan. Okay, I almost read that wrong. And Enosh lived after he begot Canaan 815 years, and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Likewise, Canaan lived 70 years, and begot... Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. This is... oh, boy. Man. Hold on. I gotta say this in my head before I say it out loud. Malalalel? This sounds like a Lalafell name from Final Fantasy. What the heck? Malalalel. Oh, goodness. And Canaan lived, and after he begot Malalalel, 840 years, he begot sons and daughters. So the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Malalalel... Stop making me say that. Lived 65 years, and begot Jared. So much easier to say. And Malalalel lived... And after he begot Jared, 830 years, and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of... Gosh dang it. Malalalel were 895 years, and he died. Good, I don't have to say that anymore. And Jared lived 162 years and begot Enosh. I have a cousin named Jared. Then Jared lived and begot Enoch. Oh, the one name that I do know from this list outside of the beginning and the end. 800 years and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Also Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. I know how to say that one too. And Enoch walked with God and begot after he begot Methuselah 300 years, and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God and was no more seen, for God took him away. Methuselah also lived 187 years and begot Lamech, which is mentioned in the last book we read, was also used for one of my favorite fantasy book series, which I highly recommend, called Eye of the Oracle, where they kind of had this whole fantasy storyline that was based in the beginning of the Bible, and it's a really cool book, and I will probably read that on stream at some point, because I love that series, and a few people in my Discord also love that series. It's such a good book series. But anyway. And Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years, and begot sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died, which would make Methuselah the longest living human ever to live, which is pretty cool. Then Lamech lived 182 years, and begot a son, and called his name Noah. Hey, I know that name, saying, "The same shall comfort us concerning our work, and sorrow of her hands as touching the earth, which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. What an age to live to, 777. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Japheth? Japheth? JPEG? I don't know. Okay. So that's done. Have I butchered biblical names enough for all of you? I hope I have. And embarrassed myself in so doing. Okay. So that was Genesis chapter 5. Next week, we will actually start one of my favorite chapters in the book of Genesis, which is Genesis chapter 6, aka the start of the Noah's Ark flood story, and also the first mention of the Nephilim, which is like one of the things I'm most fascinated with about the Bible. Anyway, now that I've butchered that, it's time to butcher more. But in a book about Final Fantasy 14. So yeah, that is our next target. So last time in this book, we read about everything in the main city of Limsa in Final Fantasy XIV. Now we are going to read about the areas that are not the city but are still part of Lenoske. And that will be our reading for today for this, which we will stop once we get to Gridania, which will be our next one we read about. Okay. Middle Lenoske. Can't wait to see what names I butcher in here. Ugh. Known for its rolling hills, Little Lenoske borders Galadion Bay. I hope I said that right. When peering out from Limsa, the region seems a pastoral scene. However, a great cliff cleaves the land in twain, a scar left by the calamity dividing the northern and southern areas. Zephyr Drift. The grassland begins just past the Zephyr Gate and gains its title from the same westerly breeze as the egress. Galadion Bay. Galadion Bay was named in honor of the great vessel that bore Limsa's founders from the northern seas to their new home. Scholars have recently discovered that it was known as the Bay of Nim in the 5th astral era. Ah! See? And that ties it into a previous astral calamity, which we talked about previously in this book. Because lore. The Rogue River. One of 3 streams that flow through Middle Lenoske, the Rogue River did not exist until the calamity sundered the ground and opened up a new path for the water. Thieves used the river to transport their ill-gotten goods in the early 7th Umbral era, and their activities gave the waterway its present name. The Thangren? I think that's Thangram? No, Thangren. Yeah, La Thangren checkpoint. What the heck? The Maelstrom set up this checkpoint to keep watch over the La Thangren East Road that cuts through Middle Lenoske. The Grand Company has since entrusted the post to the Yellow Jackets, as the area recently sees cobalt encroachment. Summerford. When the calamity carved rifts into the land's surface, water rushed up to fill them from a subterranean vein flowing forth from the mountains of Ogamoro? I hope I said that right. 2 new rivers now run through Middle Lenoske and have ruined the area betwixt them into a fertile farmland. Oh, why did I read ruined? Have turned the area betwixt them into a fertile farmland where produce always grows in the abundance of summer. Summerford is also known as the former home of Camp Bearded Rock, a Yellow Jacket outpost that was purged from Lenoske, rock and all, when Bahamut unleashed his flames upon the area. Yikes. Just was completely obliterated. That's great. Summerford Farms. When Merrill Blaze... Why do you have to make me read the Admiral's full name? No! When Merrill Bluefiswin... Gosh dang it. Bluefiswin Rose to Admiral, one of her first decrees included the clearing of large swaths of land for new lemons and settlements. Summerford Farms and its expansive orange groves is one of these locations. Its name is derived from a man-made crossing required when late spring runoff from Mount Ogamo causes the Rogue River to swell. Interesting. That's interesting lore there. Sea Song Grotto. I'm the Oh, there's like a poem. I'm the waves that bear. I am the winds that guide. I am the evening stars. I am the morning sky. I am born of the sea, and there shall I die. Interesting. Nestled within the hollow cavern situated to the south of Summerford Farm sits an ancient monolith on which is carved this, the Sailor's Requiem. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting, okay. The Eggless River, which is also what this picture right here is. The Eggless River, following from the direction of the Eggless Wise, this river is second of those created by the Calamity. The Cookpot. As this patch of land is encircled by a queer wall of stone, the locals have taken to calling it the Cookpot, and worrying over what trouble stews inside. Three Malm Bend. A curved section of land some 3 malms long, this area straddles the rift known as the Descent. Its lowest point sits but barely above the level of the seas. The Descent, which is right here. A deep scar left by the Calamity. This mighty rift swallowed the Nim River and the land it once flowed through, and with it countless lives. Thus, the Descent was given its ominous-sounding name so that no more would stumble over the precipice to be dashed upon the rocks below. Dang. The Skylift. Once an endless expanse of flat rocky meadows, Middle Lenoske is now severed by a sheer cliff known as the Descent. To maintain overland trade routes from the easterly outposts of Elport and Bronze Lake, Lominsan engineers created the Skylift, a tower of wooden scaffolding outfitted with pulleys, winches, and tighter-than-air balloons. I'm trying to remember where this is. Why am I not remembering where this is? Is this where... No. Illinoske. I don't know. Why do I not remember a cliff in middle? Oh, no. I remember where this is. Yeah, no, I remember where this is. Okay. Never mind. I remember where this is in the game. The Del Newell checkpoint. From the Del Newell checkpoint, the Maelstrom keeps vigil over the road to the hamlet Wineport. Yeah. In order to watch for the Garlean forces that have advanced into eastern Lenoske, the post is far more heavily manned than the Lathangren checkpoint. Woad? Really? Woad Whisper Canyon? Gosh dang it. Little more than a shallow valley, but 5 years past. Oh, I forgot to mention. Today is National Grammar Day, which means you can all be grammar police for me. Please don't. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have said anything. Little more than a shallow valley, but 5 years past, Woad Whisper Canyon, not road, Woad, was carved into a gaping gorge in a manner of moons until after the Calamity drained Bronze Lake and dramatically altered the course of the Nim River. On hot days, laborers from both Summerford Farms and the Skylift will oft take respite in the cool mists of the falls, if not met by bandits. The Nim River. Flowing forth from Bronze Lake, this river has been named in honor of the ancient Nimon temple discovered in its headwater. The foremast. The newest Yellow Jacket watchtower, the foremast, leads into the capital proper, though no adventurer is permitted entry this way. Like the mizzenmast, its name harkens back to the nautical and indicates not only the mast standing nearest a ship's bow, but Limsel Minton's resolve to lead the fight. I see. And now for Lower Lenoske. Wow, I can read. Stretching beyond the Tempest Gate, Lower Linoske has long supplied timber for vessels, and thus become home to the Leminson shipbuilding industry. Woodcutters have come to ply their trade elsewhere, and the area is at present being cleared and tilled for use as farmland. Moraby Bay. Moraby Bay. I think it's Moraby Bay, actually. If I read that right. Oh, hey, thank you for the canteen refreshment. Thank you, Alpha. Much needed. Thank you. On the southern coast of Bilburn, Moraby Bay encompasses the cove and surrounding lands, all of which one can see from just below Limsa. This breathtaking view explains why the area is a favorite for tricist? What does that word even mean? Despite being rife with deadly, stinging Aurelie? I do not know what that word is, and I don't know if I want to try to say that. Anyway, moving on. Madman Bridge. Yes, that sounds like a fitting place for me trying to read this. Madman Bridge is maintained by Nildik. I hate limbs and names. Nildicu and Vimeles, I think. Those who venture beyond it, however, are liable to fall prey to kobolds and monsters, and it is said that only a man who has taken leave of his senses would cross the bridge unprepared. Fair enough. The Eyes. Known in part as a post for the Yellowjackets' second levy, the Eyes is a towering stone outcrop with two hollows cut clean through that appear to watch passerbys with hidden intent. Ooh. That's a confusing word? Yes, it was. The Mourning Widow. Through a river, I read that wrong. Though a river once flowed here gracefully over land to the ocean, the calamity sheared away rock and soil to leave but a stark cliff face. Now the waters cascade downward, falling upon the waves beneath. The locals see these as tears of those who lost a loved one during the chaos, and have taken to calling the waterfall the Mourning Widow. The Tempest Gate. I know what that is. Unlike the warm winds of the Zephyr Gate, the back entrance gains its title from the gales that howl at its doors from the seas. Also probably the most taken gate out of Limsa by newbies. Asaron's Embrace. When the gods bore the brunt of the great wave generated during the calamity, one section of the peninsula stumbled under the force of the water, leaving the tip cut off from the mainland. However you say that, and Vimeles subsequently set about constructing this mighty bridge to cross the ravine, reconnecting the severed docks and communities with the mainland. I don't remember what that is. I might have to go in game and find that. Cedarwood. Cedarwood? I know a place in real life that's called Cedarwood. I don't remember that being a thing in game. Anyway, once home of a mighty forest, Cedarwood's trees grew straight and strong, and found use as masts and decks upon many elements of vessel. After many years of logging, however, the area is nigh unrecognizable, and its flora almost completely changed. The Red Rooster Stead? I think that's Stead. The farmers on the Red Rooster Stead will rarely shy from testing their agricultural acumen on exotic crops or untested growing methods, and take pride in their willingness to sacrifice a harvest if it means a better yield in autumn hence. The plantation's name is said to be taken from the bloody cockfights held after nightfall by the gamekeepers. Do I even want to know what that is? Okay, no, I don't. The Grey Fleet. Hey, that's this right here. Sitting high atop Widow Cliffs on the southern coast of Vilbrin, the Grey Fleet was built to harness the constant southerly winds funneled down through the Strait of Merlthor? and use them to power many mills, which grind the region's wheat and full its wool. Okay. The blind iron mines. The operations have all but ground to a halt within blind iron mines. In its heyday, the air inside was so full of dust as to rob men of their sight. Yikes. The God's Grip. Legend has it that the hands of the Wanderer and the Navigator shaped this peninsula, which extends along the western shores of Morby Bay. During the War of the Magi, it was here that the Nemean Royal Marines took an Amdapori host by surprise and repulsed its attempts to land upon the Cape. The conflict has since become known as the Battle of the God's Grip. Really? Huh. I have to remember this next time I'm in that area. Man, I gotta go in game with just this book open and just revisit some of these spots and just be like, oh. The Morby Dry Docks. Main offices of Neldekes and Vimeles, or however you say that, are presently bustling with shipwrights working to finish the Victory, the first large-scale vessel to be constructed after the calamity. The Salt Strand, which is this picture right here. The Salt Strand, when struck by a fallen shard from Dalamud's outer shell, a massive amount of concentrated ether was released from just below the surface of the Rotano Sea, immediately fusing with and crystallizing the towering font of salt water, which was expelled during the impact. Oh, that explains what happened. Okay. City, state, funded exploratory forays into the inner crater have all yet to return. Yes, gee, I wonder why. Candlekeep Quarry. Originally built for the Candlekeep mentioned at Asheron's Torch, this quarry is also used to unload freight bound for Morby Dry Docks. Empty Heart. A small spring that bubbles up from up on the God's Grip. Empty Heart's waters are fresh and pure. Such sources are a rarity, and many are the monsters that come to slake their thirst. So many, in fact, that they are known to fight amongst themselves. Dang. Asheron's Torch. Bearing the Wanderer's name, Asheron's Torch stands on the opposite shore of Morby Bay from Limelin's Ring. Together, the lighthouses alert passing ships to where the bay's jagged coasts lie. Gotta prevent those shipwrecks. Okay. Next page. And we are now reading about Eastern Lenoske. Eastern Lenoske. An area in the southeast of Vilbrant. Eastern Lenoske stretches from Bloodshore on the seas to Raincutcher Gully further inland. The region has great diversity of terrain with pristine white sand beaches to the east and dense jungles to the west. Oh, yeah, this is where, yep, I know where this is. Bloodshore. Bloodshore's name stems from a macabre tale. Around 50 years ago, an enmity between the League of Lost Bastards and the followers of Ricarde Mistbeard came to a head off the coast of Eastern Lenoske. When the smoke cleared, 4 galleys had sunk, and hundreds of corpses had been swept away with the tide. The water and sand stained red with their blood. Oh, dang. That's why the nice beach resort is named Bloodshore. Jeez. Yes. I love taking my comfort summer beach resort at Bloodshore. Gold Perch Tower, which is actually this picture right here. One of the 3 beacons built along the Lenoskan coast in the 6th Astral Era, Gold Perch Tower is the eastmost, warning ships navigating the Strait of Milthor of its deadly shallows, while also serving as a watchtower for pirate and Sahagan raids on Bloodshore. Costa del Sol. Though this area was originally cleared for farmland, it was abandoned upon the discovery that no crops would grow in the salt-ridden soil. That makes sense. It then caught the eye of Master Gaguraju? Is that the little Wallafell? A wealthy Oldan entrepreneur who purchased the land and set about developing it in the style of the South Sea Isles. He has not only altered the area's flora to match its tastes, going as far as introducing species native to more tropical climes such as the Selenades, but also changed its name to Costa del Sol. That explains why the beach resort feels so out of place in Lenoske, because it's technically a fake beach resort. That's crazy, bro. Dang. I will never think of the area the same again. Also, I have to blow my nose. Sorry, chat. Mother Nature called. Anyway, moving on. The Garlock Slayer. Intrigued by the monster known as the Garlock that was said to live in this dark cavern, Master Geguraju set a band of sellswords into the depths to find it. Not only are they rumored to have stumbled upon the legendary Fear Babe, but also stumbled into it, stirring the Garlock from its age-long slumber. Wait, what? I really need to go in game and find these spots. What the heck? I don't remember that at all. Is that a dungeon? That can't be a dungeon. I don't remember. Anyway, Hidden Falls, which is this picture right here. Sheltered on three sides by towering cliffs, Hidden Falls can be found several score yalms upstream from where the Eglis River empties into the Strait of Meldthor, taken by its beauty. Uldon Plutocrat Gagaraju was quick to purchase land and construct a stage upon which private performances for the magnate's favored clients are held, aka Costa del Sol. Right. Okay. Rain Catcher Gully. A great many plants blossom into crimson flowers within the warmth of this dense jungle, though scholars remain unsure of the causes behind such an imbalance in color among the region's flora. Brave Flox's Longstop. Oh gosh, that's a dungeon. Brave Flox Alltalks, a former member of the Company of Heroes, sought to establish a camp in this region. However, she was unaware of the wounded worms slumbering in a deep cave within. Thus, the party of goblins she sent into the jungle met with great tragedy. Yes, and you eventually can kill that thing. The Severed String. Home to a black marketeer. The Severed String was also a shop dealing in smuggled and stolen goods until the owner abandoned it for reasons unknown. Though the place stood empty for a long while, at some point Imperial deserters took up residence within its aptly named walls. That must not be where I was thinking that was. Red Mantis Falls. The deadly red mantises that lay their eggs near the base of this majestic waterfall also lend the place its ominous name. Raincatcher Gully Docks. The ferry stops at these docks to take travelers across the river. A small storehouse nearby serves its porters and steersmen. Of late, rumors abound of unscrupulous characters with a Far Eastern look to them entering the shack. That's a reference to the Rogue/Ninja questline. Yep, I know that one. Also, Yugiri. Eglis Wise. The ruins of the archaic road. Eglis Wise's age is so great that some scholars hypothesize it was already old in the days of ancient Alec. Ooh. Wait. Really? No kidding. That's crazy. That makes that... Wow. That makes that road really long. Oh my goodness. Dang. Okay. Oh. Wineport. Blessed with fertile soil and groundwater rich in minerals, Wineport is a Lomensian village famous for its vineyards and fine wines. The Brickestrap grapes that they grow are known to produce particularly exquisite vintages. Though the village is not a port in the traditional sense, its name derives from its bustling trade. Castermacedons, which is this picture in the bottom left corner, right here. Castermacedons was built by the 14th Imperial Legion in the 7th era, and is garrisoned to the second cohort once under the command of Praefectus Riton Ses Arvenia. The Garlands are said to have spent a great amount of time and effort examining the fragment of Dalamud lodged beneath the stronghold. Yep. Which you eventually get to investigate. For a certain raid. Dun dun dun. Western Lenoske! Located in the southern end of Vilbrin, or southwest of Vilbrin, during the 6th Astral Era, this region was a fertile land with a scattering of farmlands that provided many of Limsa crops. After the calamity, however, ruin has crept upon its rolling hills, with the Sahagin, who bear down from the northwest, posing a particular threat. Quarterstone. Though 1 in 4 parts of Quarterstone soil is rock, granaries and golden wheat were once abundant, thanks in part to the tireless toiling of its former residents. Now, the farmland is overgrown and wild, as the fields have stood stagnant since the farmers fled to Limsa with the coming of the calamity. Swift Perch. Constructed as part of a great plan to rebuild Aetheryte camps, Swift Perch is a new settlement constructed around the remains of a watchtower that once served the Yellowjackets. Farmers who lived in Quarterstone are slowly returning, yet their lives are hard and prospects bleak. The Flock. The wheat grew tall here, but for want of farmers, the fields have been left fallow for 5 years. At present, the area has been reclaimed by a flock of feral dodos. Dodos! Yay, dodos. Brewer's Beacon. This relatively new lighthouse was built soon after the calamity, claims Swift Perch Tower to ensure safe passage for trade vessels carrying shipments of dark stouts and blonde barley wines out of Alport. In addition, the Candlekeeps also maintain watch for increasingly frequent rogue tidal waves caused by the stirrings of the Lord of the Whirl. Oh boy, not that guy. Skull Valley. What a ominous name. The name of this valley bespeaks a grisly history. When kobolds ventured down from Orgomoro, they were slaughtered by Yellowjackets, and their skulls placed on display as a warning to others. Dang! Dang! That's kind of cool, not gonna lie. Very Lord of the Rings of the Yellowjackets to do. I approve. With the changing times, the place is now more likely to face a Hagen incursion. Sestaga Seagra. Ages of pounding waves have worn away at the sea cliff, leaving this natural cavern. While tales that the Seagra is the lair of deadly co-worlds abound, it's become clear that this was a ploy by the Serpent Reavers to keep people away. The cavern connects with the sea, and these pirates have built a hideout at its depths, where they aid the Sahagin. Oh, I know what that is. That's your first dungeon in the entire game right there. Alport. Unlike water, ale will not go stagnant on long sea voyages. Thus, many ships pull into this, the second harbor on Vilbrin, to fill their holes with the stuff. Subsequently, Alport does a godly trade in grog, a trade encouraged by low taxes on various brews. Less well known, however, is that this was a stratagem specifically designed to prevent large vessels from clogging the port of Limsa. Stratagems? Like Helldivers? Okay, I'm not. Camp Skull Valley. Now a strategic outpost for the Maelstrom, Camp Skull Valley was once but a circle of tents occupied by a meager Yellowjacket unit charged with surveying the area for kobold incursions. Those beastmen foolish enough to venture down from Agomo were slaughtered and beheaded, their skulls put on display as a warning to others. That's crazy. The Founder's Crypt. The Founder's Crypt stands to commemorate a sailor named... Oh boy. Ergamir? I'm probably butchering that. A hero who died so that many more could live. He alone stayed behind when the Sahagin attacked to buy his comrades precious time to flee. What a hero. North and South Tide Gate. Taking advantage of the chaos left in the Calamity's wake, a large force of Sahagin rose from the seas and laid claim to Halfstone, a distant Lominsan settlement on the far western edge of Lenoske. To prevent any further swells of the Beastmen forces, a massive wall was erected between the enemy-occupied lowlands and the allied Skull Valley. I was wondering when I'd read that. Halfstone. In spite of the high rock content in the soil, men toiled patiently to reclaim Halfstone, and eventually established a farming settlement. Yet all this was washed away when the primal Leviathan unleashed a great tidal wave after the calamity, and the area is now little more than a barren stretch of rocky shore. The Serpent's Tongue. This hidden harbor serves as a hideout for the rapacious Serpent Reavers, who have allied with the Sahagin against their fellow men. Crazy. Heresy. Traitors. Sapsa Spawning Grounds. The Sahagin swarmed this area after the tidal wave collided with the coast and are laboriously transforming it into a spawning ground. The Sahagin Land Base. Built by warriors from the sea, the land base has allowed the aquatic beastmen to assault the maelstrom stationed at North and South Tidegate time and time again. The Reef of Sending. From the Reef of Sending, the Sahagin returned the spirits of their brethren who perished on dry land to the embrace of the azure seas. Noav's Nursery. At the small beastman settlement, Clutch Father Noav raises his spawnlings alongside his unusually hospitable Clutch. I don't want to question what I just read. I'm not going to question what I just read. Moving on. The Isles of Umbra. The seas off the coast of Alport are bespeckled by these islands, which include the mystical Moonshade Isle in their number. The ship's graveyard, which is this picture right here. For centuries, ships wrecked off the coast of southern Vilbrand have been carried upon currents to this quiet inlet, a timeless reminder of the deep's boundless wrath. So many are the wooden corpses which populate this watery lich-yard. It is said that for every hole visible upon the waters, a score more slumber beneath. Dang. Pharaoh Sirius. Pharaoh Sirius is a towering beacon built to guide ships safely into Alport. Its fires were fueled by ethereal energy, a technology of Naldix and Vimelis as radiant as it was innovative. During the calamity, however, some projectile struck the lighthouse and turned the ether inside to a great mass of corrupted crystal, which that becomes a dungeon later. Seems to be a lot of this. Ends up becoming a dungeon. Alright, and now we have Upper and Outer Lenoske. And this is our last 2 pages. Cool. Sweet! Upper Lenoske. Known primarily for the spectacular flowing ruins of Nim, which can be viewed all along the territory's northwestern edge. This area stretches to the north of Lenoske's inner regions and rises slightly in elevation towards the mountains of Ogomoro. Bronze Lake. The formation of great underwater fissures during the calamity saw nearly half of the water comprising Bronze Lake vanish in the span of a single night. The result was the uncovering of ancient Nemenian ruins submerged for thousands of years, most notably the Wanderer's Palace, a temple dedicated to the god Asheron. I forgot that was dedicated to him. That's crazy. Camp Bronze Lake. In addition to the Wanderer's Palace, Bronze Lake's receding waters also revealed countless hot springs, which were subsequently discovered to display remarkable therapeutic properties to any and all who soaked in the heated pools. Camp Bronze Lake was moved to this new location, where the Yellow Jackets lent their backs in the construction of the Warm Wine Sanatorium, a hospice of healing for soldiers injured in the line of duty. The Wanderer's Palace. Though the Wanderer's Palace was a temple dedicated to Asheron, guardian deity of Nim, its history is a tragic one. Towards the end of... Wait, hold on. Okay, I didn't know. There is a picture here of Camp Bronze Lake in this bottom corner. Towards the end of the Fifth Astral Era, a terrible and deforming sickness came upon the maritime civilization. Finding no cure, the Hellnemians feared the plague and came to abhor those stricken. In time, they locked the infected within the temple, sealing them in with magic, and drowned the place in water from Iron Lake so as to forget that the ailing had ever existed, which, yeah, you eventually can deal with that. Because that's another dungeon. Gigeron's trading post. Oh, not that guy. Located on the eastern banks of Bronze Lake, Gigeron's trading post is one of two makeshift markers, peddling baubles and trinkets to those brave enough to venture that deep into Cobalt lands. The other is Mimiroon's trading post, run by Gigeron's estranged sibling, to whom the stubborn quick-word merchant hasn't spoken in 20 summers. Oh my goodness gracious, these quick-word, man. Like, they are literally just, what are they called in Star Trek? I forget what that race is called in Star Trek. The like one that like is just a bunch of merchants. I forget what it's called, but there's like a race in Star Trek I'm thinking of, and that like the Quick Word are like the Final Fantasy version of them. Them and the Namazu. But anyway, Oakwood. A forest on the western shores of Bronze Lake, Oakwood saw a brisk trade in the trees for which it was named until but a few years past. I was skimming ahead to find out where these two pictures were from, but anyway. Mimiroon's trading post. Mimiroon, a quick-turn shopkeeper, peddles all manners of sundry from this small trading post. He's even dispatched a junkmonger to Poor Maid's Mill to share in the profits of rebuilding. Poor Maid's Mill, once a hamlet where men eked out a living through wood cutting. Poor Maid's Mill takes its name from the broke-hearted women whose lovers were lost to the kobolds or the forest, though the villagers abandoned the place in the early 7th Astral Era, and a strange pirate crew known as the Salthounds have recently moved in, and under strict guidance from their captain are begrudgingly attempting to restore the town to its former glory. I think that is related to the Red Mage questline, if I am not mistaken. I could be wrong, though. Thalios, which is this picture right here. Though there is no proof to support the claim, rumor has it that the sun-bleached remains of a long-dead denizen of the deep are those of one of the legendary twin sea serpents, believed to have been unleashed by the navigator Lemillion at the dawn of eras to fill the empty seas. The other being Naricross? Interesting. It does look very much like a dinosaur. Fool Falls. When woodcutters still piled their trade in the forest, they would send felled timber down the river. Anyone caught bathing in the pool beneath this raging cataract was like to be crushed by the falling logs. Only a lackwit, it is said, would come near to Fool Falls, which is this area right here. Interesting. Zelma's Ruin, not to be confused with Zelda. Very different. Long ago lived a hunter named Zelma, who one day chased his prey to the foot of Ugamoro. Here, he stumbled upon an armed force of kobolds, moving south in blatant disregard for the peace agreement with Limsa. Though gravely wounded in the encounter, Zelma managed to flee through the valley. With his last breath, he warned the people of the impending attack. However, this was enough. The Knights of Barracuda mustered and decisively put down the Cobalt incursion. To this day, the path that Zelma ran bears his name, a reminder of the selfless hero who saved many lives with his sacrifice. I really gotta go in game and find all these spots. Also, hey Wolfie, welcome to the stream. We are currently reading, and thank you for another canteen refreshment. Thank you, thank you. I need it after reading all these hard words. Okay. How you doing, Wolfie? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Alright. Outer Lenoske. Let's read. The northernmost part of Lenoske, this expanse borders on the mountains of Ogamoro, the highest point of Vilbert, and the domain of the kobolds. So numerous are the beastmen that only the bravest dare venture there. And only the strongest return. Such as the guy that killed Titan. I mean, what? You're okay? Well, that's good. That's good to hear. The Long Climb. The Long Climb is an area with hills that rise dramatically upward, and is so named for the time required to ascend them. As the area's earth aspect was greatly weakened by the calamity, sections of the ground now hover in the air, creating a truly fantastical sight. The Hermit's Hovel, which is this picture right here. While few have ever seen the lord of this humble hideaway, which rests precariously on the edge of an unscalable precipice, let alone obtained his permission for entering the premises, that has not stopped travelers from taking full advantage of the respite the location offers. Whether it be a dip in the streaming pools or a few bells slumber on the soft goose feather bed. I wonder, do we ever find out whose that is? I think there was a quest line where that's revealed, but I can't remember. The Floating City of Nim, which is this one right here. Suspended high above the foothills of Mount Orgulmo is the floating city of Nim, a central hub of a lost civilization which prospered on Bilbrint during the 5th Astral Era. The accepted theory as to how the city was torn from the realm involves the over-aspecting of corrupted wind crystals combined with the de-aspecting of earth crystals, a phenomena witnessed late in the 6th Astral Era. Interesting. And if I remember correctly, you can't really get close to that. You can just see it from a little far off, which is kind of sad because I would love to explore that. Anyway, Camp Overlook. Is there a picture for that? No. Manned by the meanest shite-kicking unit in the whole damn maelstrom. That is a line and a half right there. Camp Overlook serves as the base of operations for the Red Swallows, a privateer levy tasked with surveillance of cobalt activity in outer Lenoske and along the slopes of Mount Orgulmo. Iron Lake. Though it might not look it, a great body of water comparable to Bronze Lake once stood in this area. Its waters have long since emptied through fissures opened during the calamity along its floor. The lake bed's unique color, which scholars believe stems from high sulfur content, is visible to any who make their treacherous climb into this forsaken corner of Lenoske. The Cobalt Dig, which is this one right here. From the 59th to the 639th Order, the Kobolds have sent a great many of their kind to dig and drill for precious ore at this busy site. The 789th Order Dig. The 789th Order Dig. Oh, the 789th Order are the most hapless of kobolds, who their kin have all but exiled. Working at this dig adds insult to injury, as the site lies in the middle of nowhere and is thought to hold not one vein of good ore. Dang. Ouch. And last but not least, the Orgulmo Mines, which is right here. The brilliant rainbow-colored hues that permeate the otherwise bizarre slopes of Orgulmo are the result of an endless flow of toxic slumgullion streaming forth from the labyrinthine warrens that make up Orgulmo Mines. As more kobolds arrive on the surface each day, there is a scramble to construct new forges to accommodate them. Dang. Yeah, that area is certainly interesting. It's also where you have to fight Titan for the second time. And on that note, we went through that pretty fast, actually. Dang. We finally get to my favorite city-state, Gridania! Yay! But that will be next time. Again, usually these Ranger reading episodes go about an hour, and we're about an hour in, so perfectly done, as usual. So yeah, next time we read about the actual city of Gridania, and obviously all of the area around Gridania, the Black Shroud. But that'll be the next 2 times, accompanied with more of the Geneva Bible. But yeah, another Ranger reading episode in the books. I'm really enjoying doing these. And yeah, look forward to butchering more names on the next time we do this, which will be 2 Wednesdays from now. So stay tuned for that. Also, all these episodes, along with all my other streams, are archived on my second YouTube channel if you ever want to rewatch. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, I will try to, if I can, stream this Saturday. Hopefully, I will be able to. I'm hoping, 'cause I really want to. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do that. If we do end up streaming Saturday, mainly on the agenda are the new Final Fantasy XIV content that I can actually play, which is a new variant dungeon, and the new Hildebrand quests. And doing more Final Fantasy 16. So, and maybe some Total War if we can. But that is the main stuff on the agenda for Saturday, if we can stream on Saturday. But I don't know. I have to see how the week goes. But yeah, and like I said, streams are going to be a little less over the next few weeks as I figure out my real life car situation and a bunch of other stuff. But when I can stream, I will. And also, stay tuned because YouTube stuff might be returning. So, on my main channel, not my secondary. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, on that note, everyone, thank you all for tuning in. And we're going to go find... Well, that's great timing. My mouse just died. Of all timings for that to happen, that's actually funny. Okay, well, let me get my mouse working. This is what happens when I'm not really on my computer that actively for the last few days. Something like that happens on me. Oops. Let's fix that. Okay, now that my mouse is working, we're gonna go find someone to raid and show some love to on Twitch, everybody. So stand by as we do just that.